What? Can you die from that?
Today's video is sponsored by CyberGhost VPN. With Ahsoka Season 2 set to be released later this year, I thought it'd be a good time to revisit Ahsoka Season 1 to see how it's aged and if my opinion has changed. Before Ahsoka Season 1 dropped, people were very excited to see it. I wasn't, but some were, because you see, a lot of people love Ahsoka.
Ahsoka is my favorite Star Wars character.
Gay! And it's not just her. Fan favourites Thrawn and Sabine were also going to be in the show. What could possibly go wrong? Well, I can tell you what went wrong. It's called a Dave Feloni circle jerk. So throw a cat on your head and let me take you back to the beginning. Let me take you back to where it all started.
Oh no! Oh!
Ahsoka is here and I really couldn't be less excited, except for the fact that we can have fun ripping it apart. When starting a new series, it's important to make sure you do a good job setting up the characters and story, because it's pretty important to have the audience like your characters and be invested in the story. Growing an audience should be a priority. Disney's Ahsoka does neither of these things. And who's shocked? Who would have thought that handing the once all-dominating Star Wars over to an inexperienced director who had only directed cartoons would turn out a hollow, boring show full of flat, one-dimensional characters? Yes, of course, I'm talking about the cowboy hat-wearing, idea-stealing joke that is Dave Feloni.
Take that ridiculous thing off.
We have to thank a lovely viewer for that joke. Dave Feloni, the guy who doesn't have one original idea in his body. Well, he did have one original idea. That was Ahsoka. And we are going to be paying for that for years to come. Because Dave Filoni's main goal and only talent is pushing his own mid-level characters. A super quick break to thank our wonderful partner, CyberGhost VPN, for sponsoring this video. With over 38 million users worldwide and over 20,000 excellent reviews on Trustpilot, CyberGhost VPN is one of the best VPNs out there. But why do you need a VPN, you might ask? Well, let me tell you. A VPN is essential for protecting your digital privacy, because you see, plenty of eyes are watching you every time you go online, and even using incognito mode doesn't stop that. Your internet service provider, your school or work IT department, even your home Wi-Fi router. They can all track what you do online. And no one needs to know that. So that's where CyberGhost VPN comes in. Simply select from one of their over 100 locations before you browse to encrypt and reroute all of your traffic through their secure servers. This way, no one will ever know about your online activity. CyberGhost also unlocks geo-restricted games and content from over 40 streaming platforms worldwide, like Netflix, Amazon Prime and Disney+. CyberGhost works on all major devices and operating systems, and you can protect up to 7 devices at the same time. So that's perfect for sharing with friends and family. Use the link in the description to grab an 84% discount plus 4 months free. And with a 45-day money-back guarantee and 24/7 customer support, you can try it completely risk-free. Click the link in the description and start protecting your digital life today. Now, I understand that some people think Dave Feloni has done some great work in the cartoons. Well, that's great, but I'd like to aim a little bit higher in directorial and writing talent than the guy who's directed some drawings. Because even after all the crap we've endured, it still is Star Wars, which used to mean something. Christ, less than 10 years to go from $2 billion movies to a bland show that no one cares about, made by a cartoon boy. Well done, Kathy. And somehow you're still not fired. It amazes me that so many people think that moving from animation to live action is a natural step for a director. Well, Dave Filoni's proving that it isn't.
Well, Kanan, I like to call Kanan the cowboy Jedi.
The main job of a director is to make sure the story is being captured through the visuals, dialogue and performance. While it's accepted that those three skills can be of a much lower standard when we're talking about animation, live action, and I'm talking good live action, requires more believable dialogue and believable performances, subtle differences in how a line is delivered.
I love you.
I know.
Or the choice of expression can make or break a scene. Characters in animation, their expressions are always exaggerated and very limited, while humans have 1,000 different ways to express the same lines through voice, expression and movement. The trouble is, no one told Dave Feloni that. Every scene in Ahsoka has the same depth of one of his cartoons. Lifeless, expressionless, with horrible pacing. And on top of that, the action is terrible. The bonus of doing action scenes in animation is that you can easily speed up a scene if it's looking too slow. We as humans don't connect with the animated movements, so speeding it up doesn't look strange. That all changes with live action. You can't just speed it up in post. You need a good performance, good direction, and good editing. The live action Ahsoka feels like it is playing at 3/4 speed. It's bloody coma-inducing. Now, to be fair, George Lucas wasn't the greatest director of all time, but he surrounded himself with people that knew what they were doing when he filmed the original trilogy, including the cast, who have often joked that George's only instruction was, let's do it again, faster and more intense. We could use some of that direction in the Ahsoka show. But luckily for George, the cast had good chemistry and knew what to do.
I like this. If only we can get some of the dialogue altered.
Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill have said they often asked George if they could change lines during filming, while Carrie Fisher took it upon herself to rewrite parts of the script to improve the, shall we say, more awkward dialogue. George was even smart enough to remove himself from the director's chair for Empire and Return of the Jedi.
Revenge of the Jedi.
And we all had to experience the outcome when George came back and worked with less experienced actors. Not great.
Now that I'm with you again, I'm in agony.
But George always had great vision and ideas. Unlike Feloni, Feloni's direction is some of the driest, most uninspired and lacking in imagination I've ever seen. The actors, and I use that term loosely, especially for the ones who are only getting work because they're sleeping with Obi-Wan Kenobi, the actors are delivering lines like it's an early morning rehearsal read-through, and none of them have had any coffee yet. And physically, Dave Feloni must think that crossing your arms is a super cool pose because our main three boss chicks are doing it constantly. Dave, the work experience director, is too stupid to realise that standing with your arms crossed is seen as a negative pose. And don't just take my word for it. Here's what the experts say. Crossing your arms can be a sign of stress or insecurity. People may also cross their arms when they feel low self-esteem. It's a sign of anger and defensiveness. It can also be a sign for determination or arrogance. It's suggested that people who wanted to display power or confidence should avoid crossing their arms, as it may make them seem more cocky than self-assured. And that's the problem with the whole bloody show. Our main three power women just come across as smug assholes from the get-go, especially Sabine.
Where is she?
I don't know. She was just here.
Where did she go?
I don't know where she went.
When we meet Sabine, she is blowing off the stiffs like a real rebel wild child with about as much authenticity as the embarrassing scooter gang that worked for Boba Fett. She even got the badass rock score. Which is a pathetic choice for Star Wars.
How do you do, fellow kids?
Our wild child here is sticking it to the man by not attending a memorial for her dead friends. What? Blowing off a memorial for your dead friends is not cool. In fact, it's pathetic. And doing it with the smugness set to overload is not the way to introduce your star who you're meant to care about.
Well, you're missing the ceremony.
Oh, that was today.
The only care I had for her was hoping that someone was going to blast that smug look off her face. Hollywood really needs to stop thinking the way to make strong female leads is to have them act like men, because it doesn't work.
Yep. Well, you're not wrong.
The Lucasfilm creative geniuses really need to put a bit more thought into what does and doesn't translate well from the cartoons to live action, like blinking droids. What's the point of that? And worst of all, this fucking thing. Harrison Dula. If I'm saying that wrong, I don't care. Don't correct me. What a bloody joke. The flying goggles and the leather shorts on her head. It all looks so bloody ridiculous. She doesn't even wear the goggles when flying. Why are they there? What's her normal everyday job? Does she spend her days flying a biplane while dusting crops? But she has to look like that because that's how she looked in the cartoon. And the small cartoon audience is the only audience Lucasfilm has left.
So maybe it's not such a hunk of junk after all.
And the story's bloody straight out of a summer short riding course. Just more MacGuffins and maps.
Star map? Not just any star map.
Maps and MacGuffins with all the same stupidity as the knife map in The Rise of Skywalker. How come no one at Lucasfilm understands how maps are made, what their use is, and they're usually used for locations, you know, that can't move.
The location of the last missing Imperial Grand Admiral.
Not people that can change where they are at any minute. Christ, we've had maps to Luke. Maps to Wayfinders, maps to the Emperor, and now maps to Thrawn.
Thrawn.
That's not possible. Thrawn died at the Battle of Lothal.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
With Disney bleeding money and Star Wars losing fans faster than Dogecoin loses value, you would think that they would want to attract as many people as possible to their newest Star Wars series. But not only was Kathleen Kennedy stupid enough to give Dave Feloni his own show, she also let him run with making it a continuation of a cartoon that finished years ago. A cartoon that few people give a shit about. Now, on its own, the idea of doing live-action Rebels isn't so bad. It's the fact that Dave Feloni didn't think he needed to set up the story and characters for the much larger live-action audience, which you think would be the obvious thing to do. Many more people have read the Harry Potter books and the A Song of Ice and Fire series than have watched the Rebels cartoon. But when they came to make the movie versions of the Harry Potter books and the Game of Thrones series, they didn't just make it for the people that had read the books, that already know who the characters are. They made them for the broader audience to understand. We all know the Superman and Batman backstory, but every time we get a new version, they take the time to give us that backstory again. How they came to be and what their relationships are to the people around them. James Bond and Mission Impossible are both ongoing stories, but both take the time to establish who characters are and how they relate to each other, so newcomers to the series can enjoy the stories and not feel lost. You see, a good script should be able to do that effortlessly. The Ahsoka show feels like we've started watching towards the end of a series when it's already used up all its good ideas in previous seasons and it's now running out of steam. Feels like we have tuned in just before it's about to get cancelled.
I'm not sure that's a good idea.
It really is that limp and lackluster. And the more Disney Star Wars content we get, the more I'm on the Empire's side. Modern Lucasfilm can't dilute Luke's victory over the Emperor quick enough. For some bizarre reason, Disney likes to make all the Republic officers complete assholes. We get the latest example, the opening of the Ahsoka show. Captain Arsehole here is so arrogant that he not only stupidly invites what is obviously an enemy ship to land on board, where it could just have started blasting away, he also decided to confront the unknown but obviously dangerous guest personally, leaving his crew and ship unprotected from attack.
I'm calling their bluff. I want to meet these Jedi.
I can't imagine other captains being so stupid.
I can do anything for you, Captain.
The two baddies then just start carving their way through the ship and easily make their way to the prisoner they were seeking. They're never confronted with any security droids or blast doors, just some guys that continually shoot at their lightsabers, even when the lightsaber is being held in a stationary position. Oh, what an imagination Dave Feloni has. Another corridor scene just like in Rogue One, but nowhere near as good. Let's compare the joke of an opening in Ahsoka to another time two lightsaber-wielding people were carving their way through a ship. They had to face security droids, battle droids with shields, battle droids they ran away from, I might add, and blast doors.
Close the blast doors! That will hold them.
They even went to the trouble of moving their lightsabers around a bit to deflect the blasts. Another time one of these guys entered a ship uninvited, he got caught.
Ray shields. Wait a minute. How did this happen? We're smarter than this.
Because ships in Star Wars used to have security. These two faced a security guard with flipper hands. Old Quick Draw there would have had his head blasted off before he even grabbed that gun. Truly, Dave Feloni has the imagination of a houseplant. I tell you what, they're getting their money's worth out of that costume. That mask's been used in every bloody show so far. Those aliens are the only ones we see on every planet. They must breed like rabbits.
It's a trap!
So after meeting the only two interesting characters in the whole show, it's off to see Indiana Ahsoka, who was looking for a ball map to lead her to Thrawn. Some cape-wearing droids turn up.
Give it to us.
Why they wear capes is anyone's guess. I mean, thanks to Disney, droids are now virtually human in the modern Star Wars. We then see Ahsoka show off her very slow skills, which are only outdone by how slow she runs. Here's a tip to Lucasfilm. If you're not going to bother hiring an athletic actor for an athletic role, don't have any running scenes, or hire a director who knows how to shoot better action and can mask her dumpy run.
Where were you?
I was keeping the ship at a safe distance.
Ahsoka gets away because the droids are going to self-destruct and take out everything for friggin' miles, which makes no sense as they also needed the map, so blowing it up wouldn't have been any good to them.
Give it to us.
But, you know, this is Disney Star Wars, and the Disney Star Wars fans can't join those two dots. Their brains can't connect the story threads between two scenes. They celebrate every scene as if it's a single event.
I know her from the cartoon. Big explosion, look big.
In my head movies.
We find out Ahsoka's ball work's no good, so Green Monster with the leather shorts on her head suggests that Sabine may be able to crack the code. Apparently she's good at the ball work. Baddies turn up to reenact a Darth Maul scene. Sabina cracks the code by turning the ball just half a turn. Shit, even the robot couldn't work that out.
The device is locked, and the key to activating it has eluded me.
Bam! Just like that. That's all there is to it, Dustin. That's all there is to it.
Baddie robots turn up to show how slow and weak they are. You think that a droid with self-destructing power to flatten a city might be strong enough to crush her like a grape. But no, apparently Sabine has super strength, which is confirmed a few minutes later when she gets run through with a lightsaber. Yes, it's hard to believe it's happened again, but this episode ends with another person surviving getting run through with a lightsaber. And I thought Finn getting a lightsaber off the back hard enough to knock him down and knock him out, and Kylo copping one to the face was stupid. Little did I know just how far Disney was prepared to go to destroy anything good about Star Wars. We have somehow gone from Qui-Gon melting blast doors and tragically dying from a lightsaber strike to multiple people surviving their internal organs being melted away. Don't worry about modern Lucasfilm not understanding lightsabers, or Star Wars in general. They don't bloody understand how fucking heat works, or how internal organs are packed in. I swear to God, people at Lucasfilm must be like when primary school kids draw the human body, and they separate all the organs into different sections of the body. They're packed in there, you fucking idiots.
You're gonna be okay!
Wait. You need my help.
Death should really carry some weight in a story. It should mean something. The scene and final shot in any other show would only imply that the person was killed. But in Star Wars, we all know that's not going to happen. We all know that she continues on in the series. So what was the purpose of pretending to kill her? It literally meant nothing.
I heard your repairs were complete.
Blondie escaping because Ahsoka came in blasting or joined in the fight would have been more exciting, and we would have ended up with the same result. But no, we are dealing with Cartoon Boy, who is used to working in the Lucasfilm bubble and only knows how to recycle the same scenes over and over again, even if they make zero sense to the story or create logical problems. Problems like expecting an audience to accept for the fourth time that frying someone's internal organs is just a minor injury. The only place this type of idiotic writing would be accepted is in a Scooby-Doo episode, and Star Wars shouldn't be treated like Scooby-Doo. Star Wars deserves better than some hack cartoon creator.
Well, Kanan, I like to call Kanan the Cowboy Jedi.
Oh no!
What? Can you die from that?
Oh, I love that dumb bit that questions whether you could die from having a lightsaber thrust through your body, damaging vital organs. It really sums up the modern Disney Star Wars fan. It also sums up what Disney's been feeding them. Now let's hit the next video. That covers the next 3 episodes of the show, and we'll see if it improves at all. Bit of a spoiler, they don't improve.
We have former Imperials working throughout every level of the New Republic government. I see no enemy. I see no enemy.
So we are halfway through the wonderful Ahsoka show. And what have we learnt about this amazing character, Ahsoka? Well, that she likes to cross her arms. But yes, we haven't learned much about Ahsoka, but what we have learnt is Dave Feloni cannot write live action to save himself. We also learned that Rian Johnson hasn't got a monopoly on idiotic space battles. Dave Feloni pulled out probably the stupidest space battle I've ever seen. Seriously, if what he delivered was in some B-grade 80s Star Wars ripoff, we would be laughing our asses off. But this is a multi-million-dollar Disney Lucasfilm production, so I would expect something a little less stupid. But yet his fans, the fans that are more into the Feloni cartoons than the George Lucas films, praise him. And that's why we call these fans. Why are they aiming at her and not the ship? They literally flew close enough that she could jump over the other ship, which makes zero sense in a space battle. And how is that tiny ship generating gravity?
Sabine! Did you fix the ship yet? I got it! Great! Now get me!
Well,
Ahsoka kinda forgot about Leia Poppins and the Force flying.
Remember when R2 and his pals went outside to fix Padme's ship? Dave Feloni remembers. He didn't understand why that scene made sense and his doesn't. But that doesn't matter. He's working on memories here. You know, there was a time when directors, writers and producers took pride in coming up with new original ideas. Well, not Lucasfilm. Their only idea is to repeat other people's ideas. Their characters. My God, this show is full of the most smug, annoying characters I've ever witnessed. They make Reva look likeable. Glum personalities, all full of self-importance.
He never mentioned you.
When Sabine wakes up from getting skewered with a lightsaber, don't worry, I covered the ridiculousness of another lightsaber survivor stabbing scene in my last video. But when Sabine wakes up, not only does she behave like nothing has happened, by watching her acting prowess, you'd think that she just had a bad street souvlaki. Ahsoka, who I'm starting to hate, shows zero care. If anything, she just seems annoyed with Sabine. In fact, she spends most of the series looking annoyed. I'm sure Ahsoka only has two expressions, full smug and annoyed. There doesn't seem to be anything else.
If we can't make the journey to find Ezra, then no one should.
We are told that Ahsoka and Sabine have quite the history together, which for some reason turned cold. If they do share this once close bond, it would have been nice to have Ahsoka looking at Sabine with some type of love or friendship. She could have been holding her hand while she was in the hospital bed. She did, after all, just witness this once close friend almost dying. As soon as Sabine woke, Ahsoka could have pulled her hand away and gone straight into grump mode to show Sabine she's not happy with her. Showing a sign of affection would have given the audience a glimpse of what they may have meant to each other at some stage. But no, we're just going to be told they have a relationship and never shown. I'm pretty sure Dave Feloni has never heard of the old movie-making quote, "Show, don't tell." He's only about the tell. He'll have someone tell us that Ahsoka and Sabine were once super close, Master and Padawan, but he won't show it. If it wasn't for the leather shorts on head green monster constantly filling us in on Ahsoka and Sabine's relationship, we would have no idea that they were once close friends.
Well, considering your history, I'd say that's expected.
And after being told that Ahsoka used to train Sabine, we see them partake in a Jedi lesson.
I see you still remember the basics.
But not good.
Which I can only guess is lesson 1 of day 1 in Jedi training, because Sabine's got no idea what she's doing, and she gets the same lesson Luke got on his first day of knowing about the Force.
With the blast shield down, I can't even see. How am I supposed to fight?
Your eyes can deceive you. Don't trust them.
Put this on.
I can't see. How am I supposed to fight?
I want you to see with more than just your eyes.
What had Ahsoka been training her in the years before? Hasn't she seen people use the Force? Doesn't she even understand how it works? But, you know, who cares? Because with these scenes, all you're meant to be thinking is, I remember when Luke did that.
I can't even see. How am I supposed to fight?
Can't see. How am I supposed to fight?
And while the script is woeful, better actors may have been able to lift it up to something acceptable, which leads me to Ray Stevens. Man, is this guy doing all the heavy lifting as Balon Skull in this series?
Truth.
In fact, if anyone at Lucasfilm had half a brain and could move away from repeating the same stories over and over, I would be quite happy to follow Balon and his sidekick around in a completely separate adventure. But sadly, they are both stuck in this boring, slow show. And 4 episodes in, it would be great to know more about Balon.
To kill her would be a shame. There are so few Jedi left.
You can only stretch out the slight hints of a backstory for so long. At some stage, we need to actually know what this guy's about.
Anakin spoke highly of you.
Let's hope they use the second half of the series wisely. And it's not just a case of Filoni creating empty Easter egg characters. Expensive, yet hollow on the inside. And for all these characters that come from a long-running show I didn't watch, it's surprising there is so little to their personalities. They should be all put through the Plinkett test. Ah, the Plinkett test. Many moons ago, back in the YouTube golden days, the original slurring critic, Red Letter Media's Mr. Plinkett, reviewed the Star Wars prequels, and it was glorious.
Oh, I can't stop crying.
Little did we know what the future Star Wars had in store. We may have gone a little bit easier on the prequels at that stage. Mike, the voice of Mr. Plinkett in the reviews, came up with a novel way of showing how the characters in the prequels were so lacking in personality that they would be hard to describe to someone. Yes, this was a long time ago, a time when characters having personality mattered. He asked people to describe the following Star Wars characters without saying what they look like, what kind of costumes they wore, or what their professional role was in the movie. And the results were spot on, with the original trilogy characters coming out far on top.
Han Solo.
He's a rogue. He's very arrogant, charming. He's got a bit of a dark streak to him.
Qui-Gon Jinn.
He is stoic. Well, he has a beard.
Queen Amidala.
That is going to be fucking impossible because she doesn't have a character.
Now imagine applying the same test to Ahsoka. How would you describe her, or anyone in this show? Well, you know, if you're female, it would be...
stoic?
And if male, most likely moron.
Ignore them.
And one pet hate of mine that completely ruins the OT is that since Disney took over Star Wars, they've gone out of their way to diminish Luke Skywalker's victory.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
Luke and his pal's happy ending was very short-lived.
Navarro has reported accounts of stormtroopers in the streets and TIE fighters openly flying above. The citizens speak of Moff Gideon occupying the town.
So short it actually makes the New Republic look like a bunch of morons that couldn't organise a piss-up in a brewery.
Uh-oh. It's not good.
Now, having life turn out not as easy as we had hoped for the victors is an interesting way to go. That's if the writers have put the slightest effort into creating a believable story that leads that way. Well, this is modern Lucasfilm, and they don't work that way. They just decide the story destination and then take the biggest shortcut to get there. We've already seen that the First Order magically come back, so the only way to get there is to have the New Republic make idiotic decisions from the get-go, like wasting time, money and resources, pulling apart large powerful ships to make smaller, less powerful ships.
Now we're taking them apart and using the cores to power the new ships in the defense fleet.
And then complain that they don't have enough ships to do their job.
We have a backlog of requests from member worlds that have priority. I don't even know if we have the resources, especially for pirates.
When they could have, you know, just used the existing ships. Maybe slap a bit of paint on them so people know they're friendly.
Absolutely not. This isn't the Empire, son.
No, the New Republic's not going to do that. It's going to ignore all the Empire's science and technology breakthroughs so the story can accelerate the rise of the First Order.
That you conveniently use a threat of Thrawn's return to acquire those resources. Isn't this just another attempt to gain New Republic resources to aid in what has ultimately been your personal quest to find Ezra Bridger?
They're even going to, and this is for the slowest of Disney fans, they're even going to straight out say very clearly that the ex-Empire staff work at every level of the New Republic.
We have former Imperials working throughout every level of the New Republic government, and they have all taken an oath of loyalty.
Which makes me want to ask, how big was the Empire? I was under the impression that they were the galaxy police, but apparently they staffed every position from factory worker to politician on every planet.
Do the facilities still employ any of her former staff?
Of course, there's no other way to remain operational. You will still find ex-Imperials at every level of the New Republic government.
It makes the victory celebration after the blowing up of Death Star 2 look a bit premature, because that explosion must have only taken out about 10% of the Empire.
I have created the next generation Dark Trooper suit.
How did the Empire even lose power with the loss of one Death Star when they had people working through the whole galaxy?
We are no Jedi.
Don't forget, the Emperor survived. So when Death Star 2 blew up on a Friday, and what must be millions of Empire staff working at every level throughout the galaxy,
You will still find ex-Imperials at every level of the New Republic government.
they should have all been back at work on Monday. Thanks to Dave the Hack Feloni, losing the Death Star 2 now looks like a minor hiccup in the Empire's staffing levels.
We have former Imperials working throughout every level of the New Republic government. I see no enemy. I see no enemy.
Now, even though we've seen some great writing in the TV streaming world over the last couple of years, we shouldn't expect a super high standard with every show. But there are a lot of good writers out there. Not that they seem to get hired these days. But you would think, as a minimum, you would get some type of originality or flair in the story or dialogue. Even if we look at George Lucas and some of his worst dialogue, at least you can say it's memorable.
It's coarse and rough and irritating.
Just look at how many memes we got.
Hello there.
Well, that's not Dave Feloni's style. Dave writes more like a teenage boy who has little world experience and has also never read a book.
And I like to call Kanan the cowboy Jedi.
His imagination can only come up with lines he's heard 1,000 fucking times.
Nice haircut. Going somewhere?
Every line out of these characters is probably said 1,000,000 times a day by 1,000,000 different people, and every line's interchangeable with any of the characters.
I go where I'm needed.
Not always.
You never make things easy.
Why should I? You never made things easy for me.
Well, I am quite busy at the moment.
I could make this a more formal inspection if you'd like.
That won't be necessary. Please, this way.
Relax. Don't worry about me.
I'm not.
Good.
Should I be?
What?
Worried.
Nope.
When Princess Leia quipped, it sounded like Princess Leia.
I don't know who you are or where you came from. But from now on, you do as I tell you, okay?
Han spoke in a way that wouldn't have suited Luke.
Look, your worshipfulness, let's get one thing straight. I take orders from just one person, me. I got him! Great kid! Don't get cocky!
And when Vader spoke, he delivered lines that were memorable.
I am altering the deal. Pray I don't alter it any further.
Blondie here could have said something cool, like,
The night has come, and with it comes your death. It's a pity you have travelled so far to die in this lonely forest.
but instead we got...
Going somewhere?
Now, these are the first lines that just came to my head. Give me the bucks that Filoni's getting and I'll put a bit of work into it. More work than Filoni's putting in. Boy, have we had one original line from the guy in all his writing?
Nope.
And when he tries to show some depth, he just ends up showing that he hasn't entered the world of adults yet.
Sometimes we have to do what's right, regardless of our personal feelings.
You really believe that?
Yes. Of course, like most adults should think that. It's like Ahsoka's talking to a child.
When the stakes are this high, I have to.
And not for the first time are we seeing Filoni either not understand the original movies, or his head's now so far up his own ass he can't remember them.
Everyone in the Order knew Anakin Skywalker. Few would live to see what he became.
Yes, no one knew Anakin became Vader. That was the fucking point of the story, you moron. But now somehow Baylan knows that Anakin was Vader. How?
I will take the child and watch over him.
And he was a good friend.
First Reva knew about Anakin being Vader, now Baylan knows.
Anakin Skywalker is alive.
Not only did many Jedi seem to have survived Order 66,
they're Jedi.
It seems like they all knew that Anakin was still alive. All except Obi-Wan, the only one that should have probably worked it out.
You didn't know.
Star Wars is such a fucking mess. And to top off the stupid writing of a stupid story with stupid characters, Sabine, who we are meant to, I think, care about, Sabine decides to sell out the entire universe and everyone she knows in the off chance a friend of hers is alive. What a horrible, horrible character. Wow, you're a really selfish bitch. Even if they had put in some hint that she could confirm that her friend is still alive, or we felt that they were closer than they seem to have ever been, we may have gone along with this. But no, this is shortcut Lucasfilm, so don't expect any substance. She's betting on the return of pure evil and death to millions. For an acquaintance she knew that's probably dead.
That's not possible. Thrawn died at the Battle of Lothal.
The creators weren't even smart enough to make her slightly likeable or trustworthy, so this portrayal would be a surprise. No, this flip was broadcast loud and clear so the simplest of Disney fans could follow it.
She took the map off the ship when I explicitly told her not to. I fear we face a difficult choice, which is, if we can't make the journey to find Ezra, then no one should. Sometimes we have to do what's right, regardless of our personal feelings. You really believe that?
I believe Dave Feloni is the worst thing that's happened to Star Wars. He's been the #1 yes man to support Kathleen Kennedy's direction, and Episode 4 really helped to cement that thought. And that was with the introduction of the world between worlds, an idea that no one seems to be able to explain, some kind of story-breaking cheat code that seems the same as time travel, even though everyone wants to say it's not time travel. And if you do say it's time travel, the Feloni Sims have a freaking meltdown. All I know is that it's a cheat code for cartoon boys who can bring back any character he wants to get an applause from the key-jangling fans.
Jingling keys. Fun for babies, not for Batman.
Which leads us to Anakin. And my God, did that send the little simp boys losing their fucking marbles. I mean, the fact that he turned up into the Obi-Wan show that was a disaster, seems to have left their little minds. Every new key jangle's going to be received with all the joy that they can possibly muster.
Jingle, 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 go the
Wings.
What? What? Oh my!
Anakin.
But this head movie makes my eyes rain.
So until next time, peace out, man babies. Yes, thank you, Red Letter Media. You started all of this. The fans were different back then. We weren't deranged, massive pussies. That's the biggest difference between the Disney fans and the prequel fans. The prequel fans love the faults of those films. That's why we have so many awesome memes. Let's discuss the fans a bit more. This next video delves into the fans of garbage like Ahsoka.
Yeah, this has been such a journey for Dave Feloni. I mean, to have this evolve now into what will eventually be an event movie, and to have him be the director, that is a dream come true. I mean, the great thing is that Dave gets to learn along the way. And so these characters are evolving in real time with him. He's going to do something great. That I know.
Star Wars fight is over, and sadly we lost. Now, that won't come as a surprise to a lot of people. Some people bailed out at The Force Awakens. Most heard the death bells when subjecting their eyes and ears to The Last Jedi.
Go away!
And if you made it all the way to The Rise of Skywalker, then death had surrounded you. But through all of this, some of the old fans kept the slightest of hope that the heart of Star Wars could be resurrected. The Mandalorian had some good moments, and even at its lowest points, there was still some, even though awful, connections to the original movies. But that's all changing with the Ahsoka show. Dave Feloni and Kathleen Kennedy's plan is coming to fruition. The plan to diminish the importance of George Lucas's classic movies and elevate the Feloni-Kennedy ideas and characters.
I have no idea.
And don't let the appearance of Anakin fool you into thinking that this show is connecting to the classic Star Wars. No, the Ahsoka show is more of a faded photocopy of a bad photocopy of a bad photocopy. And the worst part is, that's just what the Disney fans want.
Anakin.
Let me explain what the biggest difference is between the old school fans of George Lucas's work and the new breed of Disney fans. They seem more like it is a cult.
It is, yeah.
Yes, thank you, Liam Neeson. They're very much like a cult, where devotion is proven with public displays of outrageous reactions.
I have sinned against you, my Lord. No, you're lying. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. Global bullshit. I call bullshit bullshit!
You see, back in time, a lot of people of all ages went along to see Star Wars. And a lot of those people had seen Jaws, the original blockbuster the year before. Then a lot of those people would go on to watch Indiana Jones, Ghostbusters, Back to the Future, Alien, Terminator, Rocky, Beverly Hills Cop, Lethal Weapon, Rambo, E.T., Top Gun, RoboCop, Escape from New York, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Lost Boys, and on and on and on and on and on. Yes, that's just to name a few, and it honestly is just a few of the amazing films that came out in the 80s and 90s. All different genres, all different styles, and all different experiences, and aimed at all different age groups. Star Wars and its sequels would always have a special place in a lot of people's hearts, mine included, but it wasn't where we stopped watching and growing with films. There were films like Zap to enjoy.
Wow!
The 90s kids who went to see the prequels also went on to watch Minority Report, Batman Begins, Pulp Fiction, Collateral, Sin City, Napoleon Dynamite, Shaun of the Dead, Donnie Darko, Almost Famous, The Departed, and a few of them went to see a little-known series called Lord of the Rings. Violence, sex, and horror were always a big part of enjoying movies as a teenager. It's part of becoming a more rounded person. Well, that seems to have changed in a big way. People now get social points proving how stunted they are. Grown men collect fucking Funko Pops.
Or leave them in the box and never touch them!
Films used to be aimed at all different age groups, and teenagers couldn't wait to start seeing more mature films.
Dawn 13.
What the fuck?
That's not to say family films weren't hugely popular, but that was balanced with wanting to experience more mature films, which also introduced people to more experimental filmmaking and better directors.
You're neither.
Modern Star Wars and Marvel are proving they don't want their audience to mature, because that means they're going to lose them as fans. The new Disney Star Wars fans seem to have grown up on Star Wars cartoons and have stayed at that mindset ever since.
Is this the world between worlds? Holy shit!
There it is!
Their experience and knowledge on great storytelling and filmmaking seems very limited to say the least. You see, original Star Wars fans were also film fans. That's why a lot of people felt that the prequels fell flat. They weren't very good films.
There's been some terrible mistake.
And it gets everywhere.
I can't watch anymore.
The prequels. 3 films that have found new love, but would be down to a good 60 minutes between them if you cut out all the bad bits.
Don't make me kill you.
Now I know you're going to get angry, but hear me out. I'm talking about them in regard to their quality, not about how much of a little Star Wars chubby they give you.
It's a nightmare!
Star Wars, or as it's known now, A New Hope, and Empire Strikes Back would easily be fighting for a place in my top 10 all-time films. They might both squeeze in. I wouldn't put the prequels in any type of best-of list, even if that list was top 100. They are 3 films with grand ideas and mostly poor execution.
Medically, she's completely healthy. For reasons we can't explain, we are losing her.
But don't get me wrong, the prequels still have some of the Star Wars magic. There is still some gold in there for the Star Wars fans, just not a lot of gold for fans of film.
Now let's get a move on. We've got a battle to win here. Yes, sir.
And I think most prequel fans understand this. They have as much fun with the bad bits of those films as they do the good.
I can't decide myself.
Even though they might love them, prequels fans know they are not the greatest films because they had a lot of competition at the time. Where today's Disney Star Wars fans are just Star Wars fans and not film fans. I mean, they might get to experience the joy of the 50th crappy Marvel production. Awesome! But that's where their film catalogue seems to end. That's why we see this over-the-top praise for any of the Disney Star Wars productions, as well as the embarrassing gushing for people like Dave Feloni, a person that wouldn't have been allowed to deliver sandwiches on a film set in the 80s. And Ryan Johnson. I mean, you are going to think that the greatest thing you've ever seen is 2 people standing facing each other in front of a digital backdrop if you've never watched anything like Apocalypse Now.
Nothing is so terrible as a pretentious movie. I mean, a movie that aspires for something really terrific and doesn't pull it off is shit.
Interesting side note, George Lucas was going to direct Apocalypse Now, except he wanted to film it in Vietnam, while the Vietnam War was still on.
It was George's idea to do a movie set in Vietnam.
But I digress. We aren't here to talk about men. We're here to talk about the soy-filled Disney fans. It's also why we see supposed adults pretending to cry over appearances of characters like Anakin, a character from the low point of George Lucas's career.
No.
Now, I like Hayden Christensen as much as anyone. Some of his best work is in Revenge of the Sith, but let's not kid ourselves. Hayden had to work with some truly horrible dialogue and a director that was famously bad at directing actors.
It wasn't something I ever thought about.
George is more the ideas man, so it's no surprise that Anakin's best scenes are when he's not speaking, because he and George seem to work best together when there's little dialogue and it's more about the look.
Excuse me.
And we saw Anakin go from child to Darth Vader across the 3 movies. Anakin's story was complete in those films. So why are they so excited to see him back? Are they really excited to see Anakin from the prequels? Do we really want the future of Star Wars bogged down by the prequels? But not to worry, the connection to the prequels in Ahsoka is all show and no substance. As everyone knows, the real important link to this show is the bloody cartoons, which is the only Star Wars audience Disney has left.
It's the Anakin we know and love, though.
See, the Disney fans aren't genuinely excited to see the Hayden Christensen Anakin. They're excited to see the cartoon character brought to life, even if the whole scene he's brought back for is pointless and meaningless and a complete wasted opportunity. I mean, you think Anakin would be more interested in visiting his son and daughter.
I came to see if you and the baby are safe.
Sister. But no, he has to visit a part-time co-worker he once knew. But does he visit her? Because the writers are so piss-weak in this show, they don't even commit to the fact that the stupid world between worlds exists or not, or if it was all just in Ahsoka's head. Please don't ever show her again without her headband. And if it wasn't her head, how come the others could hear the lightsabers?
Don't you hear it? The lightsabers.
Yes, the Force is now just anyone listening really hard. Oh, fuck off.
Not right now.
If we're honest, the Ahsoka show has nothing to do with the films. If anything, George's films cause problems for this show. Its lore, talking points, and story all link back to the cartoons. This is hammered home by the fact that Luke and his friends should be superstars in the galaxy. Luke should be the first person Ahsoka warns about the impending danger. But this show doesn't even mention Luke and his friends. It's as if they don't even exist. And that's how Disney like it. In this show, the fate of the galaxy hangs in the balance, and Luke doesn't even get a mention. But the Dave Feloni characters, they are rolling the dice on everyone's future to save another Dave Feloni character. So it's pretty clear that Disney are pushing the cartoons to the forefront, while they also try and dilute the original films. But this isn't the first time we've seen the stench of Filoni's characters stinking up our screens. Bo-Katan has taken over The Mandalorian show, and Reva and the Inquisitors made Obi-Wan a scared loser who gave up his only job of looking after Luke.
The future will take care of itself.
And the first hints that Disney would be pushing the cartoons to the foreground to be more important than George's films was when they changed the voice of Darth Maul in Solo: A Star Wars Story, Peter Serafinowicz, hope I'm saying that right, who voiced Maul in the prequels, to Sam Witwer, who did the voice of Maul in the cartoons. They even had Peter record the lines for the film but changed to Sam last minute so the Solo film would be more in line with the Dave Filoni cartoons and not George Lucas's films.
At last we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last we will have revenge. Too late for what?
Pity they didn't tell Peter about the change. He'd already told his kids that Dad was in the Solo movie.
Your dad's in it, you know.
And was excited to take the family to the premiere.
I saw it on Twitter that there were people at the premiere. I was like,
you weren't invited to the premiere?
I was not invited.
Well, he never got that invite to the premiere. He had to hear about it days later, just before he received an email informing him that he'd been replaced in the movie.
So you didn't know up until after the premiere?
Yeah.
Wow.
They said it was like better for the continuity of the thing. But it was a bit disappointing.
Of course. No, I understand.
Ah, Disney. Always looking out for the old characters.
It's a wrap!
I was actually in tears in the suit.
Yes, even all the way back in 2018, they were setting up the importance of Filoni's cartoons over George Lucas's films. And the Disney Star Wars fans couldn't be more happy about that. Because you see, they love the cartoons. They're not even fans of the films. But Robot Head, how come it was okay to bring back Luke? Well, I'm not the biggest fan of bringing any of them back. But with Luke had a whole chunk of his story missing. But Anakin, we'd seen his fall of redemption. But in this show, he was brought back to continue the story of a cartoon character. And I care about that about as much as I care about the intergalactic space whales who can shoot across the galaxy using a hyperdrive out of their huge whale assholes. So old fans, if you had stayed hopeful for this long, I'm sorry to say we're done for. The new fans are all Disney cares about, and Ahsoka proves it. The Star Wars cult is in full force. The cartoons, the crying and the Funko Pops is all that matters now. I hate to say it, but the losers have won.
Oh my God! Look at, turn around and look at these people! What? From the Lord! I got what I wanted from the Lord!
Man, modern Star Wars fans are a joke. Anyway, speaking of jokes, next up we have Dave Filoni's version of Thrawn. And what a shit show that turns out to be.
Yeah, I could create a new guy, sure. But what about Thrawn? Thrawn is great. Thrawn is a character we all know. Thrawn has a lot of credibility. And can we use him in a way that's similar to the books? I don't want to use it and change it.
Withdraw the fighters. Recall the gunships. Call off the aerial pursuit. One might even call this first match a success.
Grand Admiral Thrawn. Hasn't he been a disappointment? I mean, he came with such a huge reputation of being such an incredible villain, and Disney had been pumping him up since back in Season 2 of The Mandalorian.
Where is Grand Admiral Thrawn?
The books he's featured in are claimed to be some of the best Star Wars novels ever written. How could Disney get it so wrong? Well, easy, it's Disney. The real question is, was there any chance of them getting it right? The lack of backstory and setup to understanding his situation is one thing, but it's his stupidity that's mind-blowing.
Withdraw the fighters. Recall the gunships. Call off the aerial pursuit.
So as far as we know, Thrawn has been stranded on the Whale Death Zone planet for 10 years. He has a gang of witches with him that seem to be on his beck and call. Why they are? We do not know. How long they've been with him? We do not know. But they just have the right amount of plot power and magic balls to keep the story moving along. The witches are pretty cool looking.
Come here, kneel.
But they make me want to just go and watch Dune again instead of watching this garbage.
Hey, we had a deal. Where is Ezra? Where is he?
We meet Thrawn, and it's a good start because they've actually hired an actor, which is weird for this show. They've accidentally hired two people that can act, and they've ended up in a scene together. Very unusual for this show. The 10 years Thrawn's been trapped on this desolate planet has turned the stormtroopers into a wild bunch of lunatic-looking weirdos. I have t-shirts that are 10 years old that look fine, but their armour, and I mean all their armour, has seen much better days. They look like they've been in a constant battle with a superior army day and night for the last decade. I can't wait to see who they've been battling to end up in such a ragged state. Thrawn meets Sabine, a person who the witches think is a Jedi. They also think she's dangerous.
It reeks of Jedi.
You think the two former Jedi standing there that the witches have never met before, packing weapons, would be of a slight concern to the witches. But even though they were meeting everyone for the first time, they've obviously read the script and understand who everyone is, so no introductions necessary.
What a delight it is after so long to see a familiar face.
In a sign of what is to come from our genius Thrawn, he decides to let Sabine go, despite the witches declaring her a Jedi stinking threat.
It reeks of Jedi.
It is dangerous.
He also supplies Sabine with transport, as well as returning all of her weapons. The way she was talking to Thrawn, if I was him, I would have just blasted her in the face. But that's just me.
Thrawn, where's Ezra? Just answer the question.
No need for hostility.
I'd rather not waste any more time. What kind of ride you got around here?
Yes, he could have just killed her on the spot and that would have been the end of that, but no. That's how stupid Dave Feloni has to make his main villain for this slow-moving story to move forward. Though I must say Thrawn is smart enough to say what we've all been thinking.
You've gambled the fate of your galaxy.
Yes, gambling the welfare of everyone in the galaxy for one friend does make her a horrible character, but Dave Filoni's still going to push that she's in the right.
You wouldn't understand.
Yes, he wouldn't understand because he's not a lunatic. It's kind of weird to write your hero as a bigger psychopath than your villain, but this is Disney Star Wars. Sabine, the most punchable character in all of Star Wars, demands a ride and takes off.
What kind of ride you got around here?
But don't worry, this is all part of Thrawn's master plan to find Ezra, so he can kill him and Sabine.
You and your master will destroy them both.
Sabine is absolutely amazing because out of this whole planet, she rides directly to him. 10 years he's been hiding out on this planet, and he's still within a couple of hours' ride from the Star Destroyer that's getting probed. What are the chances of that?
I knew I could count on you.
And Ezra's entrance into the story couldn't be more lackluster. No interesting introduction for him. No swooping in to save Sabine, because no woman can be saved in modern Star Wars. No, Ezra's big entrance is him standing there, trying not to make eye contact with the rock crab he's been sleeping with for the last 8 years.
Hey, it worked, didn't it?
Seeing as Ezra has a neck full of stormtrooper dog tags, which obviously means he's killed a few, Thrawn and the witches must know that he's a Jedi. So it really was nice of Thrawn to deliver a lightsaber to him, because there's nothing like arming your enemy. Imagine how many more stormtroopers he can kill now.
Do your thing.
What thing?
It's your lightsaber. Take it.
You keep it.
This show's not really selling Thrawn as a genius tactician. He's been on this planet 10 years with nothing to do, magic witches at his side, and a full Star Destroyer full of equipment at his disposal. Yet he couldn't find a single unarmed Jedi in this barren wasteland. 10 years he's been there. It's not exactly selling him as a huge threat, but somehow it gets better. Thrawn finds out Ahsoka is approaching in a star whale.
Another comes. A Jedi. They ride the travelers.
And that must really piss him off that he didn't think to use a star whale to travel.
Shit, I waited 10 years for that fucking ship to be built.
If a star whale approaches Peridia, destroy it with prejudice.
When Ahsoka does arrive, she is right in the middle of a huge minefield. The resources strapped Thrawn seem to have a few 100,000 mines laying around. Some weapons make sense in certain situations. Slow flyover bombing of stationary locations makes sense. Slow flyover bombing of movable spaceships in a space battle doesn't make a lot of sense. Mines floating on the surface of water that ships float on, or mines buried just under the land that people walk and drive on makes sense. Neither the person on foot or the floating ship can change the plane they're travelling on. A minefield in space, covering a planet that can be approached from any direction or any angle, doesn't make any sense at all. Thrawn would need millions of mines just to cover part of the globe. But it doesn't really matter because the mines have no effect on Ahsoka's ship or the whales. If only they had the Oregon Police Department nearby, they could have really shown Thrawn how to blow up a whale.
Pieces of meat passed high over our heads while others were falling at our feet. Fortunately, no human was hit as badly as the car. However, everyone on the scene was covered with small particles of dead whale.
Thrawn calls off the pursuing ships that are chasing Ahsoka to save resources.
Why not allow them to follow?
There's no need to waste our resources.
Resources that come and go with whatever the script calls for in each scene. He then reads Ahsoka's Wikipedia page and comes up with possibly the dumbest theory and plan I've ever heard. Because Ahsoka is unpredictable, a trait that nearly every stranger has, because you don't know them, his grand plan is to not have a plan but let her decide her own course, but then he'll have all the plans covered to beat her at her own game and stop her plan.
Unpredictable, which is why we must control all variables. Put her on a path of her own choosing, so that no matter which direction she takes, we'll always be one step ahead of her.
What the fuck? Dave Feloni either needs to get off or get on to the crackpot, because a shaved orangutan would write better dribble than that. Thrawn is somehow going to control all variables by letting Ahsoka choose to do whatever she wants.
Control all variables.
How many variables are there he has to cover? Infinite? He has no idea who she is, what she's doing there, or who she brought with her. She could have a ship full of Jedi for all he knows. What if her plan is as simple as dropping a seismic charge in the center of that hyperspace ring? Leaving Thrawn stranded, and his only allies stranded with him. She would still have her ship to pick up her friends and the whales to deliver her home. So in fact, it's a pretty good plan. Thrawn would be absolutely screwed.
Control all variables.
Is that one of the variables he's thinking of? Because it's going to be a bit hard to stop her when he's stuck on the planet. Grand Admiral Thrawn then gets the witches to pinpoint the Jedi.
The Jedi is there.
Why didn't they just do that to find Ezra sometime over the last decade? This show really is for morons. Thrawn decides to send in the troops and, speaking of morons, Ezra tries to claim the crown of stupidity by refusing to use his lightsaber for absolutely no reason at all in a life or death situation.
I don't need it. Besides, you've been training.
But who am I kidding? Every character in this show is protected by layers of plot armor. No one is going to die. Yes, Ezra only needs the Force and a blaster for when the Force isn't working.
It's not looking good for you.
Now, if only Thrawn had decided to use his technical superiority to blast them from the skies instead of sending in more troops to die. But he does decide to send in more troops to die, and he keeps doing that right up to the point where he decides not to anymore.
Recall the gunships. Call off the aerial pursuit.
His troops all retreat just so the heroes can live again, because the awful script needs them to.
These are unfortunate, but acceptable losses given the absence of Lord Balin.
Imagine being so bad at writing that you keep throwing in battles, yet you can't work out how to get back out of them again, so you just have people run away. And surprising to us all, Thrawn actually claims this is a victory, which is incredibly bizarre.
In the grand scheme of things, one might even call this first match with Tano a success.
A victory because in his head, Ahsoka is short on time.
Ahsoka Tano has lost the one thing she could not afford to lose today. Time.
Ah, no, my friend. Ahsoka has all the time in the world. And on top of that, she's completed her goal of finding her friends in record time. If Thrawn had half a brain, he'd see this as a huge loss. He's the one on limited time and supposed limited resources. And now there are 2.5 Jedi on the planet with their own ship.
I think I might be going home after all.
Yes, so to say Thrawn is a disappointment, it's a bit of an understatement. He's a rambling moron who makes terrible decisions, which means he'd have a really good chance of winning the next US presidential election. Thank you very much. That joke should set off an extra round of weirdos in the comments. Thrawn is a moronic, badly written character in a badly written show.
What was first just a dream has become a frightening reality.
Maybe I should just do what Dave Feloni obviously hasn't, and just go read Heir to the Empire.
Withdraw the fighters. Recall the gunships. Call off the aerial pursuit. Control all variables. One might even call this first match with Tano a success.
Well, we've made it this far through another disaster. Time to find out how it all ends. And this final episode, man, this one's special. So much garbage to laugh at.
I think quality is always everything. Yeah. We want to tell resonating stories that really speak to what Star Wars is. I don't want it, and none of us want it, to become like everything else. We want it to be something that continues to live up to the expectation the fans have. And that's the most important thing to all of us.
We start the final episode of this very slow-moving show where very little happens. We start with Morgan informing Thrawn that the cargo transfer is complete.
Grand Admiral, the cargo transfer is complete.
Even though it's clearly not, as we can see them still moving the cargo onto the ship in the background. Obviously, the video projection they'd made for the background didn't quite fit what they were saying, but, screw it. We're going to use it anyway. Because 10 minutes later, they're still moving people on. Anyhow, what the cargo is, that never gets explained. There are hints at the end, but for a show where very little has actually happened, they could have expanded on multiple ideas, to make a show. And it's not just the contents of the cargo that is a mystery. We don't know where it's coming from. We don't know where it's been stored. We don't know why it wasn't stored on the Star Destroyer. But most of all, we have no idea why they decided to wait for the Lifesaver galaxy hopping ring to turn up to start loading the cargo. The witches knew that Morgan was on her way to the planet.
Your visions guided me across the stars.
You don't call an Uber to the airport and start packing your bag once the Uber arrives at your house. You prepare for the trip. And it's not as if Thrawn had other things to do. In fact, with his scant resources, he should have had that Star Destroyer parked at that mystical probe the whole time, just waiting to go. But no, Thrawn isn't packed, ready to go, because this show needs a ticking clock to try and give the illusion of tension.
The cargo transfer is now almost complete, which means we shall soon leave.
Stories used to have interesting ideas to cause tension in their characters. But this is Cowboy Dave Feloni. The best he could come up with is that Thrawn has a heap of packages to get on his ship, and he's left it to the last minute to pack them. The Golden Gladiator informs Thrawn they have a fix on the Jedi ship.
Comscan believes they have a fix on the Jedi shuttle's location.
Now, this is big news. Thrawn has been stranded for a decade, and finally his plan is coming together. The one person in the universe that knew how to find him is with him, so this is his only chance to escape. 2.5 Jedi could really cause a problem if they flew up in their ship and destroyed the ring. Thrawn would be doomed. So how many TIE fighters will he send out there? 20? 30?
Dispatch 2 TIE fighters.
Two? Why 2? Does Thrawn understand the gravity of the situation? I think not. But this is not the first time we have seen writers forced to ignore their own story to create a little escape for their heroes.
Dispatch 2 TIE fighters.
We have seen this exact situation before in the what some people call
the greatest Star Wars movie of all time,
The Last Jedi.
That's impossible.
When Snoke was chasing the Rebel fleet and had the chance to just wipe them all out, he literally sent Kylo and 3 TIE fighters. His big chance to finish off the Resistance, and he only sends 4 ships.
The entire Resistance. Soon they will all be gone.
Was Snoke low on resources? No. That time it was the Rebels that were low on resources. Because in Disney Star Wars, one side always has to be low on resources.
They won't last long burning fuel like this.
Snoke had resources coming out of his wrinkly old lady ass. He had thousands of ships at his disposal, and part of what we loved about the Empire was how disposable they were with ships and people.
Asteroids do not concern me, Admiral. I want that ship.
But not Snoke, and not Thrawn.
Dispatch 2 TIE fighters.
Snoke and Thrawn's main skill is keeping the lazy plot going.
Even I fell victim to the heroics of a single Jedi. Never again.
Come on, man, if that's the case, there were 2.5 Jedi on their way this time. Send more ships. The witches give Morgan a gift. Crap gift. What the witches are getting out of this deal is a mystery, like the mystery of where they come from and what they're trying to achieve. Well, we know that they're just here because June has witches, and Filoni couldn't come up with an original idea to save himself. The gift they give Morgan is, I think, magic powers and a conjured up magic sword. Yes, I am still talking about a Star Wars show. You haven't accidentally clicked on the Disney Plus Merlin show review. This is modern Star Wars. This new powerful Morgan with the magic sword could really be an interesting sidekick for Thrawn. I look forward to seeing her use her magic powers and slicing people up with that magic sword in Season 2. Oh, shit. The Jedi, the Witch, and the Warlord. What a wanker. The main thing you should probably do when you have the writing skills of a child, and that's not a very bright child, is not remind the audience of stories with great writing. But don't stress, Dave will be fine. The Disney Star Wars fans won't know The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And if they do finally discover it, wait till they find out that it's really popular. And 2 of the heroes are girls. And the villain is a chick. How the hell did that happen? Girl power in 1950. That's going to open the eyes to some Disney simps that think Disney's leading the way with their female leads. Seeing as the fate of the galaxy and billions of lives rest on stopping Thrawn, it's going to be super exciting to see how our band of Jedi are rushing full force to get to Thrawn to stop his escape. With Ahsoka being so smart, she must be racing to get to the ring to destroy it at any cost, even if she has to sacrifice her life. No, that's not happening. In this race against time, life or death situation, Ahsoka's decided to fly very slowly and very low so the turtle rocks can come along. Why the fuck are they doing that?
What? Yahoo! Look out!
But again, like most of the series, this slow journey with the rock turtles is never explained. It can't be explained because it doesn't make any bloody sense. What are these rock things going to do if they come along? And why would you risk Thrawn getting away to bring them along? Why are they invested in the fight? The real reason for the slow journey is so we can have one of the most reverse logic conversations you could possibly imagine. One that goes hard against George Lucas's original ideas. But a conversation that will appeal to today's youth, who think they know everything and think they're always right, and also think they can't be taught a thing from anyone older.
You're not mad?
Ahsoka's not mad at Sabine for being completely selfish and dooming billions of people to their deaths so she could see a platonic friend once again. Sabine's evil choices have already had 2 innocent people killed. That was 5 minutes after she flipped to the bad side, and billions more are to come. But who cares, because Ahsoka describes Sabine's utter evilness as just a difficult choice.
You're not mad?
Over the years, I've made my share of difficult choices.
What the hell is wrong with you, Dave Feloni? Ahsoka then justifies this by explaining that Kid Killer 2000... Anakin always stood by her. The guy that turned into Darth Vader and helped to wipe out all the Jedi is her example of a good master. Seriously, how far are we twisting this Star Wars story to make Vader the good guy? Can we just remind everyone that Anakin was never the good guy?
I killed them all. They're dead. And not just the men, but the women and the children too. They're like animals.
Well, not in the movies at least, but those movies aren't important to this show. This series lives in Dave Filoni's cartoon world. Masters are meant to teach their apprentices.
Anakin, he always stood by me.
Saying they're going to support them through any decision is not a good lesson.
Your new empire?
Especially when your apprentice is this selfish individual who has doomed the galaxy. Just two TIE fighters attack, and luckily they fly close enough together that Sabine can make a 1 in a million shot.
We need to put some holdo maneuvers.
And take out both TIE fighters by flying straight at them. And boy, does Sabine have some punchable face attitude strutting back past Ahsoka after crashing the ship. But it's okay because Ahsoka keeps the promise she made by standing by her and smiling like a lunatic, even though Sabine again has most likely sealed their fate and helped Thrawn get away. This all could have been avoided if the characters in the show understood the story and were actually flying the ship in the sky ready to fight.
Sorry to state the obvious. This is going to slow us down a bit.
You think this will slow you down? I mean, you were literally flying your spaceship at a walking pace, but I suppose he's correct. That ship is going slightly slower than walking now.
A successful strike on the Jedi shuttle was reported before we lost contact with the flight group.
An acceptable outcome. Prepare for a ground assault.
Oh, hear me out. Send out more TIE fighters, you idiot. The intergalactic cock ring comes down to meet Thrawn's ship, instead of Thrawn's ship going up to meet the ring. Seeing as the ring was built in another galaxy, it sure is lucky that the width of the Star Destroyer also matches the height of the rock tower. They are lucky. I did prefer when these rings were seen to be just for flying in hyperspace and not flying down to planets. It seemed way cooler, but so did everything else in Star Wars, so just a little bit late to care now.
Looks like we're just in time.
How it started, how it's going. The clown posse attack the ship, and of course, no one on the Star Destroyer can hit them. We get more proof that Disney doesn't understand the Force when we have the 3 of them straining as they use the Force on the door.
Help out!
As if they can feel the actual weight of the door like they're physically moving it. God, I hate the modern Force.
Size matters not. Look at me.
They make it in by the skin of their teeth, and we get the moment where I actually burst out laughing. I like Rosario Dawson, but my God, is she a bad choice for this role. And I find it hard to believe they had any type of fight choreographer on the set, which wouldn't be a surprise. We saw Rian Johnson choreographing some of the Last Jedi interactions, and look how that went. Rosario is so unbelievably slow, and her actions are like she's in a geriatric marching band. I've seen a bear with a stick look more exciting. And more coordinated. The clown Jedi posse cut through the stormtroopers with ease. And then we get more Merlin magic Star Wars stupidity when the stormtroopers rise as zombies. They even make the downloaded zombie sound effect noises. $200 million, they say. Chomping, bloodthirsty zombies attacking humans are cool. Zombie helmet wearing stormtroopers are just slower, worse stormtroopers. They'd literally be easier to kill the second time. Some zombies attack from behind. Originally, we were meant to think that the witches were raising the dead, but the stormtroopers surprising them haven't yet been killed. Why are they zombies?
The Jedi are advancing swiftly. At this rate, they may get on board the ship, which would be problematic.
In another genius Thrawn move, he decides to sacrifice his strongest ally and sends Morgan down to stop Ahsoka, Ezra, and Sabine.
We require a little more time.
Morgan instantly forgets her instructions and just lets Ezra and Sabine walk past.
Go on, I'll handle this.
Thrawn's going to be so mad we get more slow geriatric Ahsoka twirling her lightsabers like pom-poms. Then Sabine masters the Force quicker than Rey Palpatine. Again by doing the opposite of what Yoda was teaching, and masters the Force while being choked to death. I'm really starting to think that Yoda didn't know what the hell he was talking about. She then does some super duper Force throwing, because she's the bestest now. Unlucky for Ezra, Thrawn decided to only leave 2 troopers to protect the massive hangar entrance to the ship. Thrawn really has the Dr. Evils about him.
Wait, aren't you even gonna watch them? They could get away.
No. I'm going to leave them alone and not actually witness them dying. I'm just going to assume it all went to plan. What?
Except, Dr. Evil was a comedy character. The zombie stormtroopers forget they are mindless killers and literally just stop and stand there watching the 2 women fight.
Cat fight? Yeah, cat fight.
Sabine walks up in plain sight and no one sees her approaching.
I am smack dab in the middle of a good old-fashioned catfight.
She starts blasting and the zombie stormtroopers take turns shooting back, making sure to never fire when they have a clear shot of her back. She even has this one great move where she somehow just walks past them and then kills them. Morgan gets the chop. So much for her new powers. She didn't seem to do any better than she did the first time she fought Ahsoka. That was before she had the magic powers and magic sword. We get a cliche jump off the edge moment. Never seen that before. Usually people know what's down there before they actually jump. But not these two.
Wanna get out of here? I'm right behind you.
Thrawn and Ahsoka flirt across the intercom.
I regret we haven't met face to face.
And then Thrawn calls Ahsoka a Ronin.
Where a Ronin such as you belongs.
Which is a type of samurai who had no lord or master, and in some cases had severed all links with his family or clan. That's not like calling someone a warrior, a general term that is commonly used to describe many different types of people. Ronin is a specific name in a specific culture. He may as well have said she was a fine Roman gladiator. Oh, this drives me crazy. That's not how you write fantasy science fiction. It doesn't work that way.
Where a Ronin such as you belongs.
And I know there are people out there that will never understand why that line is so ridiculous. And sadly, a lot of those people work at Lucasfilm. It's interesting that Ahsoka's using her spaceship to attack the space ring, because she literally could have done that at any time. Thrawn blasts his way out of there, somehow stumbling backwards into success. Thanks to the heroes being dumber than him, Ezra puts on a stormtrooper outfit, hides out on Thrawn's ship for the duration of the whole trip back to his galaxy. He then steals a ship, somehow escapes Thrawn's Star Destroyer, and finds his way to the green monster who wears leather shorts on her head. Surprisingly, his amazing survival and escape all happens off screen, and then strangely he risks being blasted out of existence by exiting his ship still wearing the stormtrooper helmet, because as we have established, this guy is a moron. Not Ezra, Dave Feloni. These are the only 2 shots we get of the best characters in the series, and neither of them got one line of dialogue in the final episode.
I did well, did I? Thrawn got away, and thanks to you, Ezra got home.
We finished this very dumb series with Ahsoka again comforting Sabine about her decisions. Decisions that undid everything Ezra had done. Decisions that allowed Thrawn to return to reignite the Empire and bring certain death to men, women and children on many different planets. Decisions that also left them stranded in a different galaxy where they can't warn anyone about the approaching doom. And for all they know, Ezra was blasted to death 2 minutes after boarding Thrawn's ship.
I hope.
But, you know, Ahsoka's going to stand by her.
Ezra's where he needs to be. And so are we.
The importance of getting Ezra home, to whom and where, we don't know, is never explained beyond he's just someone that they both know. Ahsoka stating that her and Sabine are where they should be makes absolutely no sense in the context of the story, unless there is some anti-lesbian law keeping them apart in their home galaxy, but Andor showed that that's not the case. Ahsoka and Sabine just swap places with Ezra, and as a bonus they unleashed Thrawn onto everyone they know. What an incredibly well-constructed story.
What is it? Nothing.
And as one last key jangle for the Disney Sims, we get Force Ghost Anakin. In this show we have had World Between Worlds in Ahsoka's head Anakin, video highlights replay Anakin, and now Force Ghost Anakin.
Fuck this show.
There's pandering to your audience with fan service.
A Jedi's weapon deserves more respect.
And then there's just given the whole audience a reach around.
Ezra's where he needs to be. And so are we.
So that was it. That was the Ahsoka show, a Dave Feloni creation. And it was everything I expected. Slow, nonsensical, with as many key jangles as they could possibly fit in. The amazing part is, Ahsoka Season 2 is on its way. And I can't wait. And don't forget to use the link in the description to get 84% off, plus 4 months free with CyberGhost. Start protecting your digital life today.